Hello, Guardians. A really fun build here for you today. I call this the Edict of Prismatic Dominance. I've been running this since day one, and I love it. It all kind of tied together because I have this really great weapon, which we'll talk about in a second. But it starts with Nova Bomb Cataclysm. I think Nova Bomb is really fun on Prismatic because it just does some really good damage. But there's lots of other options here. The new Solar Super is great too. But Nova Bomb is really fun. Just sort of your good old Nova Bomb, Void, super here. One of the big things with this build is trying to get into that Transcendence state. So Transcendence is really important. Building into that, we want to be doing light and dark damage. So we have a mix of abilities that do light-based damage and dark-based damage. We want to be in Transcendence because we're going to be getting our melee back incredibly fast while we are in Transcendence, and we're going to be throwing around those Transcendence grenades, which do a ton of different things. Slow, suppress, void, stasis, all kinds of stuff. That Transcendence grenade is absolutely nuts. So we want to be in Transcendence as much as possible and as soon as possible because it's super fun to slide in with almost unlimited melees and just go nuts with your melee. So feeding into that, we've got two aspects. We've got Lightning Surge, which is what's going to give us Jolt, and it's also going to give us that sort of blink slide, plus Feed the Void. Feed the Void is going to give us Devour on any ability kill, plus an amazing grenade regen, which we want because we're always going to be eating that grenade to get an Arc Buddy. Feeding into the Lightning Surge part of this is our Arcane Needle. We get 3 charges of that, and it's on a really strong cooldown because we've got some mods and stuff, which you can play around with later. But Arcane Needle is great for this because we want that slide in, jolt everything, AoE everything with that melee, and it's great. Facet of Sacrifice is our first fragment here. Arc Solar Void buffs give us additional Darkness Transcendence energy, really important because we're always going to be amplified. Facet of Blessing, you can swap this one out for something else, but if you need a little extra health regen, you can put that on. You're always going to be amplified in this buff in this build because we're eating our grenade to get amplified. So this is going to give us more class ability energies to get our Rift back more quickly, and that's going to sort of kickstart the rest of our abilities. So we want to kind of have this going too. Picking up an Orb of Power because we are using a Void Super. It's going to give us an Overshield. So this is really good. We want that. So that's going to help us survive a little bit. And then Facet of Balance is our last choice here. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage gives us melee energy, and defeating targets with dark damage gives us grenade energy. So we're going to be doing light and dark damage all the time. Our exotic armor of choice here is going to be Getaway Artist. We're going to eat our arc grenade. It's going to give us that arc buddy and make us amplified, super strong. And all of this gets tied in with this amazing pulse rifle that I just happen to have. My buddy was helping me do some stuff in Crota's End. And Oversoul Edict is so good for this. It just synergizes so well on this build because of the traits that happen to roll on this. So Eddy Current is great because when we get amplified, we get this insane increased reload speed. So the thing reloads so fast, even faster than like Brigand's Law. It's also got Volt Shot, so we're getting Jolt, and then we're also getting Cursed Thrall, which makes everything explode after you get a melee kill, a powered melee kill. So we're doing that slide melee. We're going to get Cursed Thrall procced every time on that. The Call or Lost Signal are great choices for your top slot because they're going to be darkness-based damage, which is going to help feed into that Transcendence that we want. And then I like to run Microcosm because it's a really good kinetic choice in the heavy slot, which gives us more light energy, plus it's a really strong heavy weapon. Lots of great options on the artifact for this build as well. Shield Crush, when you're amplified, you're going to get your grenade back faster. I'm telling you, on this build, you're always going to be amplified, and you're always going to have that arc buddy because you're always going to have a grenade to eat with Getaway Artist or throw out there. Galvanic Armor is great to give you extra defenses. The Strand one there with the Call is great because you're going to be shooting tangles and getting that explosive burst. Lots of great choices here on the artifact that synergize so well with this particular build. So pick of the litter here, have fun customizing your artifacts, but the choices that you see here are my picks. So it's a really fun build, nothing too crazy here. I'm sure there's some cool exotic class items that we can use later, but here's some gameplay now to just sort of see how all this works and how fun it is. So while this is rolling, we can go over the mods and the mod setup. So on the helmet, you're going to want an arc, orb generator. I put on a heavy ammo finder and a heavy ammo scout, and then whatever stats you want. On the Getaway Artist, you're going to want the one that gets your melee back quicker. So it's the momentum transfer. So 2 of those, and then a the impact induction. So grenades grants grenade ability energy upon dealing powered melee damage. So you'll kind of be feeding into that synergy. On the body, you're going to want to do, your normal resistances. So like I have a harmonic resistance and an arc resist, and then I have it charged up to get more armor charges when we pick up the orbs that we're generating from our arc siphon on the helmet. And then on the boots, I like to do, I swap this around a little bit, but right now on the boots on this particular sort of setup, I have 2 arc surges, just to give that arc pulse, the Oversoul Edict, a little more kick. But sometimes I put in like a kinetic surge there. And I like to put a kinetic holster on the boots as well to automatically reload Microcosm so it's ready to go whenever I need it. So that works really well. And then on the Bond, I do double bomber because we want to get that grenade back as fast as possible. Although sometimes I do swap that around for something that will help get the melee back a little bit faster. It just depends on what I need. So if I find that the melee isn't quite coming back quickly enough, I'll swap some stuff around on the Bond. And then a time dilation just to keep those surge mods up as much as possible. And then you can just kind of try to get to 100 resilience, 100 discipline, and then as much strength and or recovery as you can get to. And that's usually where the mods go for this. Other than that, it runs pretty well. I really find this build to be super fun. The slide melee is really powerful. You can stun champions with it. With the jolt, you can take out large groups of adds with it. In Transcendence, it just is absolutely bonkers, how much damage it can do there. And it's just a really fun way to play. So yeah, play around with it, swap out some of the fragments, let me know what you think. I'm sure there's some improvements that can be made on this build. Maybe swapping around some of the weapons. I know there's some other choices that you can make, but I find that Oversoul Edict is just a really great, sort of centerpiece of this. One thing that I do want to try, though, perhaps, is Centrifuge. I was working with that on day 1 a little bit, too, because I know you can get amplified with the arc pulses or the whatever they're called, the ionic traces that Centrifuge makes for you. So that could be a fun thing to mess around with, too, at some point. But the idea here is pretty cool with the arc soul and what it can do and sort of building Transcendence quickly. And it's a fun build. So let me know what you think. Have fun with it. I think it's quite powerful and you can do a lot. And yeah, have fun. Eyes up, Guardians, and enjoy Final Shape.